Podcasting from somewhere in the San Francisco Bay Area, the birthplace of Bruce Lee, the iPhone, and the bendy straw. This is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
There was a dream a million miles away. There was fire in
Amazon.com. You know, I won't be surprised if more and more stuff that I shop for, buy, and get shipped to my home comes from Amazon. It's just a reality, right? And if this is your reality, go to ruelsrunning.com, click through to the Amazon banner to get to Amazon. Why am I asking you to do so? Well, it is a no-cost-to-you way. If you like listening to Ruel's Running Podcast, it is a way that you can help the show out without spending more than you've already spent while shopping at the good folks at Amazon.com. So help us out. Go to ruelsrunning.com, click through to the Amazon.com site, and shop, connect, and enjoy. Hey everybody, welcome to Ruel's Running Podcast. I'm your host, Ruel. Happy Friday, everybody. It is a Friday, and I know in podcast land, with everything sort of on demand, you listen at your will and desire. It doesn't matter, but just want to point it out. It is, and it's one of those Fridays where I don't have my oldest kids in school because the school district has them take a break today for whatever reason, sort of like faculty workshop or something or other. I think it's just an excuse for a 3-day weekend for the district, which is all fine and good. I love spending time with my kids as much as possible. So today, my wife has one of the boys, and I have the other boy, and we're on the go. I'm going to have a sip of my coffee, and let's get this show on the road. Do-do-do-do-do. It's the usual. This is technically my breakfast. I had to just double check to make sure that I am recording. It's hard to tell. Hey guys, welcome to Ruel's Running Podcast. I'm your host. If you are a new listener, this is how we flow these days on the podcast. I'm on the go, and we try to have as much fun as possible. Hope you stick around. Hope you enjoy the show. If you are a return listener, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Good to have you here. Good to see you, smell you, not taste you, but I could feel the vibe. Trying something different. If you hear a little background noise, I apologize. It's the road noise. If you don't hear it, then I set things right so that we minimize that stuff. I apologize. If you hear a little sniffling and giggling in the background, that's because, like I said, I have one of my boys with me. And I've instructed him to be as quiet as possible, but you know how that goes. He's 5. Soon to be 6. Yeah. Gosh, how you guys been? It's been a week since the last recording, I believe. And I want to get this show out. It's been pretty busy lately, and I'm just running. Now, I want to talk about food. Yeah, I know in the past I've talked about breakfast, and I've done that several times, but I'm going to do something different this time around. Let's talk about what I had for dinner. How about that? Because lately, you know, if you've listened to the past couple episodes, my breakfasts have pretty much been nothing. It's just been coffee with a splash of heavy cream, as it is today. So, not that exciting. So I guess I've sort of played that out as much as possible. How many times are we going to say, I'm having coffee with heavy cream? I mean, it's the truth. It's not exciting. It's not, mind-blowing. If anything, it just demonstrates how you can, when you are a coffee fan and fat adapted, you can just operate off of nothing in the beginning of the day, maybe with just a splash of the heavy cream for the fuel, and maybe the caffeine for that little sort of pick-me-up, which I definitely need. A dad of 3, my youngest one keeps me up intermittently up at night, so, I doubt I have any good sleep, although I've been taking the Pure Vitamin Club's daily multicaps and the broad spectrum magnesium. I've been doubling up on the broad spectrum magnesium lately in the evenings, right after dinner, and I believe that stuff helps me relax and get as best a sleep as possible, considering that I do have to, do my parental duties and check in on the little kids when they have their night terrors and other moments in the middle of the night. Yeah. So anyways, what did I have for dinner? That's where it's most significant. And specifically last night, dinner was not a whole lot, I had leftover carnitas from Chipotle. My wife wanted something from Chipotle. She asked for the double meat, which is basically an extra helping of the carnitas, which she likes. And for those who don't know what carnitas is, it's basically the pulled pork. And so she had a little bit of leftovers, and I had that, and it was good. What else did I have? I had also, so it wasn't a whole lot of that, but I also had some browned, seasoned ground beef, which I prepare sort of as a meal prep for the kids. So I had a little bit of that as well, and that was good. That was good too. So yeah, that was that. I did have a little bit of rice with all that stuff. As folks who have listened to the show for quite a while know that I do allow a little bit of rice time to time, not a whole lot. It doesn't affect me. It seems to not affect me. So I roll with it. Everyone's different. So that was dinner last night. And I talked about the vitamins. And then just before hitting the sack, I don't know, I don't use this phrase that often, nightcap. I wanted a little taste of the bourbon that I have, so I had a little taste of the bourbon just before bedtime. So, as you can imagine, a little bit of alcohol, a little bit of magnesium, and it's like lights out. But not the type of lights out where I'm knocked out, sort of like a sleeping pill type knockout. It was, chills my body out. I can just sort of fall asleep. But should I need to get up, it isn't a problem. I'm not bogged down by any sort of like drug or anything. So there you go. That's my dinner and a little bit of my night routine last night. Yeah, awesome. Hey, I wanted to give a couple shout outs. Actually, more than a couple. I want to say on Twitter, I want to say, what's up, Joe Mama? You guys are like, hey, are you being offensive right now? No, I'm not. I have a new Twitter follower who goes by the handle Joe Mama. And I just want to say, what's up, Joe Mama? Glad that you're on board. And if you hear this episode, you weren't expecting the shout out, but that's okay. I love to do this once in a while and share, interactions that I have on social media with NSNG folks and followers on social media. So, yeah. So what's up with Joe Mama? Well, before I talk about what's up with Joe Mama, Joe Mama, he, when I first saw his Twitter, his handle technically isn't Joe Mama, but you know how you can have a different at whatever your username is, and then have a different display name. So his Twitter handle is different, but his Twitter display name is Joe Mama. But it reminded me of God, it must have been the mid '80s when I was in the 7th grade, and the whole I got exposed to the whole Joe Mama jokes, which I think are awesome and hilarious still. And I think they should never, the dialogue or the interaction regarding Joe Mama or Yo Mama should persist for the youth. I remember sitting in class in the 7th grade with huddled around some of my classmates, and just going back and forth with the whole Yo Mama jokes, So, the reason why I say it is because, when you go through the whole Yo Mama interaction, one guy says, Yo Mama is so this and that such and such, and then, punchline, and then you do the other. It sort of gets you on your, gets the folks, gets the kids, or gets the individual on their toes. Keeps them on their toes, right? Keeps them sharp, Gotta think on your feet, because if somebody comes and insults you, you don't want to just kind of take it. You want to be able to give back. But the whole Yo Mama interaction, it's become a thing over time. Eventually, someone took it on to a MTV program. Yo Mama. Yo Mama's so old. Yo Mama's so... Yeah, this and that. Yeah. So anyways, got me thinking about that. Yeah. What's up, Joe Mama? So what's up with Joe Mama? Well, Joe Mama followed me on Twitter, and I asked how he found out about this side of the Twitter sphere and the podcast world, and like a lot of folks lately, they find me through Vinny Tortorich and Vinny's podcast, the Fitness Confidential podcast or Celebrity Fitness Trainer podcast, all that good stuff. Yeah. So, like, awesome, dude. He's on his own NSNG journey, and I like catching up with folks, connecting with folks, and finding out how they're doing. He's been a listener of Vinny's for quite a while. He's been on and off, but lately he's been on roughly a 2 months into it. Like a lot of folks, he has his challenges, and it's all good. I try to be as encouraging as possible. He's also, by the way, a Villa Capelli extra virgin olive oil customer, so that's good to know. He's what did he say? He bought quite a few of the big tins of the olive oil, and he went through them pretty quick. And I know why, because that stuff is just awesome. And Villa Capelli, check out their stuff on their website. They're a sponsor of Vinny's on Vinny's podcast, and the folks at Villa Capelli have a podcast of their own, Living Villa Capelli. I've talked about them before on this podcast. I enjoy listening to Stephen and Paul over on Living Villa Capelli, and follow them on social media. They take me away. It's like I'm in Italy whenever I listen to those guys and I follow along. So yeah, what were Joe's struggles? His struggles were basically like dealing with the hidden sugars that are in foods that we have to learn about and be aware about and avoid as much as possible. And the way he put it is, he started a while ago, but would only last 2 weeks. Then he figured out that there were hidden sugars in certain foods as meats and other random things, so he wasn't really completely off of the sugars, which is understandable because they're hidden. It's hard to, and it's not his fault in those situations. It's what Vinny calls having your good intentions stolen, right? You think you're eating right, but then, the food products dun dun dun, dun, they've got the hidden stuff that the way he put it, it kept Joe Mama off track, and he, how he feels it basically hijacked his brain. He put it this way: it really wasn't completely my fault for getting off track, since my brain still was using glucose for fuel primarily, and that's what happens, right? So the further you are away from the carby, sugary type stuff, then you start to teach your body and your brain to fuel using, fat, using ketones, and and if you do it long enough, I believe, and other folks have talked about it, where you have that flexibility to switch back and forth between the two fuel sources. I think most folks who aren't fat adapted or utilizing ketones because they're carb heavy with their energy. I'm honking somebody who's clearly texting, and just let a green light go. But I don't know. This day and age, regarding that, I'm going to talk about something else. People don't care. People don't care. It's sort of like, well, naturally I'm texting or I'm on the phone while I'm on the road, and naturally that's why I'm not responsive with my driving. So therefore, it's natural for me, so you guys should just leave me alone and back off and don't honk at me. That's kind of like society today, isn't it? People seem to feel like they're justified, and it's their right to be able to just hold off traffic because they're doing what's natural to them, and it's the naturalness of the unnatural digital interference. Look at me rant on as I podcast on the go. Hey man, at least my hands are free. It's just my mouth that's moving. Anyways, back to Joe Mama. Yeah, Joe Mama's, he's right. I feel the same way. You want to stay away from all the hidden sugars as possible, because they cause you to utilize the sugars as fuel. And you want to be able to utilize ketones and the fat for energy and fuel as much as possible. From healthy fats like coconut oil, avocados, nuts, meats, as possible. So, yeah, the more you're able to, like in his situation, feel that his brain is using the fat for fuel instead, then guess what? You're not going to have those cravings for the sugary stuff, the carby stuff. And I feel the same way. I'll have recently, during several days intermittently in the of Life into Living to sort of celebrate, commemorate, my wedding anniversary. I've had stuff that I ordinarily wouldn't have throughout the year, but I know I can feel it when I have those cravings every now and then. Like, I think I want a snack. I wanna, eat at a period of the day where I normally wouldn't feel like I need to, and I don't need to. But it's those thoughts of snacking and eating, or the cravings. That's what I believe to be my brain being hijacked because of the Life into Living moments and eating some sugar and grain, putting some sugar grain in my body. Not to mention, the gut changes, right? Because of my Life into Living, my gut has changed, and I've talked about how disgusting it's gotten in past couple episodes, and I'm not going to get into it here, but I may a little bit. What does it mean? Like, I just realized this morning, I've my bathroom routine in the morning has shifted because of the Life into Living moments. It has, I find myself eating more lately, and I'm trying to, and by eating more, I'm trying to stack in more of the good stuff. But it's that craving that I've subjected myself to being or getting or exposed to that, so I have these cravings, right, to eat more, for whatever reason. And I'm not any more active today or the past week than I have in the past. So it's like I want to consume more. I'm not any more active. That's not right. But I want to appease my brain. So I'm trying to be smart by then consuming more of the healthier stuff to get over that hump. Eventually, things will settle off, I feel. But, I've been consuming more, which means I have to go to the bathroom more, which means my frequencies weird. Like, for a long time, I'd been sort of like the morning guy, get up, and have one session on the potty in the morning, and I'm good to go, right? But lately, it's sort of been, I'll have a couple in the morning, like one in the beginning of my of the morning, and then a second one for whatever reason. It's like, oh my gosh, everything's kind of off right now, and I need to get. I wanted to get straight. I don't want to spend that much time in the bathroom. I don't. Sorry, Joe Mama. I just hijacked more of me wanting to give you a shout out. I just extended a whole gigantic Joe Mama shout out to talk about so many different things. So, but there's a lot of good stuff that can be sort of extracted from that interaction that I had with Joe Mama on Twitter. So thanks, Joe Mama. Thank you. Lastly, he says, lastly I say to him, yep. Hate it when the hidden stuff happens, and said it to stay strong. He says, thank you, and for me too, and I appreciate that. There you go. But that's not all. I need to give another shout out. I want to give another shout out to somebody who goes by the handle on Twitter, or the display name, if I can figure this out. Dun dun dun. Hey, I'm gonna say Carrie, Carrie. Carrie J. What's up, Carrie J? You know who I'm talking about, Carrie J. She caught me on Twitter, and she follows Vinny as well, and likely found this side of Twitter and the podcast land via Vinny as well. I asked her what she had for breakfast, and she says, hey there, she has eggs, spinach, coffee, and cream. NSNG exclamation point. So that's why I know, she comes from Vinny, because if you come from NSNG, if you come and reference NSNG as you approach me, naturally, there's no other place you're going to find out about NSNG than Vinny, Anna, the podcast, Vinny's website, Fitness Confidential, all that good stuff. So yeah, she says she's been on a journey since March, and she also want to say happy belated birthday, Carrie. She celebrated birthday, and she's by the time I talk about this here or record this, she probably would have had her call with Vinny. She mentioned going to have a call with Vinny, because Vinny is available for consult directly, believe it or not, for folks who don't think you can reach a best-selling author of a book, an audiobook, and somebody who runs a big operation like NSNG Lifestyles. He's available for consult on his website at vinnytortorich.com. He's got a link there. You can book him. If you need someone, if the information that you get on social media and in the Facebook groups and listening to silly shows like this is enough, you definitely want to get in touch with the man directly. A lot of folks do and benefit from it. Anyways, so shout out to Carrie. And lastly, speaking of NSNG, another recent Twitter follower found me from Vinny, She goes, her display name on Twitter and handle is I_love_NSNG. So that's commitment right there. You can't not love NSNG with a handle like I love NSNG. So yeah, she started listening to the podcast via Vinny, and subscribe to my email list, my newsletter, which I will be resurrecting for folks who are listening, wondering, they've signed up. Yeah, I've took a break from the newsletter, and what better way to not spam my email subscribers by not sending them anything. But yeah, don't worry, it's not for nothing. You guys will hear from me, and it'll be fine, and the universe will be in order. So yeah, awesome. You know what? I wanted to talk a bit about health, but I may come off a bit ranty, and it's also going to cover a bit of family chat. And I know there are folks that listen who like a good rant now and again. I like listening to a good rant now and again. It gets my blood up. Gets me a little excited. It makes me feel, as a listener of other things, podcasts, when I listen to a rant, makes me feel in tuned with the ranter, if I follow. But I don't know. I want to play it cool, man. I just finished my magnesium last night, and I'm having some coffee, and I'm kind of like level right now. I don't know if I want to rant on or anything. But let's see. Let's see how it flows. A few days ago, so there's a series of events that I'm going to cover here that kind of build up. A few days ago, my mom says that there was a death in the family. A relative of hers, which would thus be a relative of mine, a cousin of hers in the Philippines, passed away. And it's not that of a trend, but it happens time to time where, my mom comes down from her room, she catches me in the kitchen, and then she says, oh, so-and-so passed away, or so-and-so passed away, and a so-and-so passed away. It's like, kind of get fearful, right? Like, don't come downstairs, because every time you come downstairs, you're going to tell me that somebody passed away. And it's life, right? People come, people go. And I'm in the middle of my 40s, which means my mom's in her 70s. Is that right? Gosh, yeah. Wow. I gotta do the math, but yeah, she's up there. But in my opinion, still at an age where you can still be rocking and rolling, And if any of the analytics that I have set up so far for the web RER147.com or the podcast, well, who am I kidding? I didn't set up any analytics for the podcast, but for this. But from the website perspective, the demographics for the website are folks who are like between 30 and 40, which I don't get. But if you are 30, 40 and you're listening, between 30 and 40 and listening, I love you guys. I don't know what to expect. Anyways, so what was I talking about? Mom. Yeah, mom's at that age. Okay, so she's telling me so-and-so passed away, and so I'm kind of used to it, even though I get fearful every time she comes down. That's an exaggeration, not all the time, but I can be. There's a trend. There's seasons of passing away sometimes, and there's seasons of not. So, I gotta kind of track and see what the seasons are. So far, only one, I think, if I can remember. I hope it's so bad. But, I asked her, I think I said, I'm sorry. Sort of like condolences type of thing. But it's a relative of hers, of ours, that I don't know. It's a relative on my grandmother, my maternal grandmother's side of the family, somebody that I doubt I've ever interacted with. So I asked her, so what was her age when she passed away? My mom said about her age. So, but that'll be around her 70s, like my mom's age. I don't know, it's weird. For some reason, I always feel like my mom is always at that age of when she can start collecting Social Security. But that was years ago, so which is why she's in her 70s now. But I keep thinking she's still in that 64, 65 age range, even though she's not. So the person who passed away was about my mom's age, and I asked her how, of what, wanted some detail. She says, well, my mom can only say, well, she was diabetic. And this is sort of like a common thing, like, oh, so-and-so passed away. Oh, she or he was diabetic. I'm like, okay, so type 1 or type 2? She says type 2. Okay. And I'm like, how? And she says complications. I'm like, okay, like, I want to know what complications? And I know I'm coming across like a reporter, interrogating, and I shouldn't expect my mom to know, but I just asked in case she did find out. She doesn't know. And my feeling about that whole exchange, so-and-so passed away, I find out, I kind of want to find out the age and why, and getting a little background. It's, it's typical. It's not a surprise to hear. I don't like that. I know that my mom, it worries my mom, right? Someone who is a relative, somebody who is in her age, and somebody who's type 2 diabetic. Now, I think when you're type 2 diabetic, and all the folks that know more about it than I do are going to probably call me an idiot, but maybe I'm not, because there are folks there that can tell you that if you're type 2 diabetic, you can put it in remission, or some will say even cure it. Depends on your perspective. And so that leads me to believe if you're type 2 diabetic, and speaking about my mom, right? My mom's got a whole menu, a whole thing of medications that I pick up every now and then, and some of that is related to like blood sugar, right? So my thing is, you won't be type 2 diabetic if you get a handle on your blood sugar, and you can do that, right? Just stop eating a bunch of stuff that gets your blood sugar out of whack, and teach your body how to use fat and ketones as fuel and not rely on glucose. Right? And folks who are fans of the show and prescribe already to this stuff know what I'm talking about. So, my mom's, I can sense my mom's worried because, this relative who was type 2 diabetic passed away from complications, which we don't know are, But here, we walk away from that interaction, that conversation. It's going to happen again another day, right? Someone else is going to pass away. It's going to be sort of the same sort of dialogue. And in the past, and I've talked about it on the show, I've ranted on the show about, having exchanges with my mom to try and convince her and teach her and inform her about things that I've learned about health and nutrition, and I'm not going to recite everything that I've come across in the past 4 years, and approaching the 2 years at the end of this year of the podcast, but I'd like to say, if folks go to ruralsrunning.com to the resources page, you'll sort of get a sense, if you look at the book titles, you'll sort of get a sense of what I prescribe to and what I believe in as far as health and nutrition. And yes, I've talked about it before. I've yet to update the page. Sorry, I will. But, I've spent a lot of time, more than the average, the typical folks in my family, I'm just going to narrow it down to that sort of population. More than folks in my family, you know, cousins included, who work in the medical side of things, either being physician assistants or nurses, or even do physical therapies and all this other stuff, and dentists and stuff. You know, I feel, you know, and I could just be BSing here, but I feel that, you know, those 4 years reading up and listening up on things that are on that resources page, and following folks on social media and on the web, the blogs and articles, I've spent enough time to say that, yeah, I'm not an expert, but the amount of time I spent is kind of equivalent to the amount of time folks would spend at higher education, right? Right, Lonnie? I mean, Lonnie, you know, he has a lot of experience, personal experience with controlling blood sugar, you know, and getting a handle on it, and paying attention to what's out there as far as how it affects you, how it affects the body, and how it affects others, you know, everybody. So, you know, I feel like I have a good sort of base of information to live a healthy life, you know, and I try to share that, and I've tried in the past to share that information with my mom, you know, and sometimes there's an appreciation, and sometimes there's just a complete dismissal and ignoring of what I'm saying, and I don't want to have to repeat myself, because I can't convince anybody who isn't ready to listen, and we've talked about that before on the podcast. Whether it be what you eat and diet and nutrition, or I don't know, whatever. You can't convince anybody until they're ready to listen. So the best that I can do is sort of live by an example. You know, host a silly show like this, share my experiences, hopefully someone can listen, and then, you know, hopefully that'll open the door a little bit for somebody to sort of question, wonder, or and explore for themselves, and you know, get the information they need, and find out for themselves what works for them and makes them be as healthy as possible, so they can stick around as long as they can to take care of their family, maybe even see their grandkids or watch their grandkids, you know, and not be so overly concerned about themselves when they hear stories about others who haven't made it. You know, yeah, so there's this, I don't know, like my mom's generation, and all of the information that she believes in from her doctors and from the media, you know, the stuff that has to die, right? Not meaning those people have to die, but the mindset, the old guidelines, the old recommendations, that stuff has to die, and it's going to take time for it to happen, right? The stuff like eat your healthy whole grains, right? And, you know, in order to balance out your blood sugar, you have to eat sugar, that kind of stuff. You know, and by the way, take this statin, take this medication, or take this blood sugar medication. You know, I realize that statins are used for cholesterol controlling, lowering, but yeah, you know, she's on a bunch of stuff. You know, they all sound like Transformer names, simvastatin, glypazoid, or whatever. Lipitor, lipazine, I don't know, all these weird glipazide, glipazine, bazibazabazubazabazine, I don't know. So many things I've come across on prescription labels that I'm like, just gosh. You know, so yeah, so in a way, by me picking up my mom's medications and getting them to her, I'm contributing to her what I believe to be not so healthy and life extending sort of stuff. You know, she's on a ton of stuff. She doesn't, you know, and And so yeah, anyways, that mindset, those guidelines need to die off, and more of what we're finding about, you know, nutrition, with you know what, there's cholesterol numbers don't mean squat. You're you know, avoiding healthy saturated fats is wrong. You know, eating the low fat recommendations is wrong. You know, there is no such thing as a healthy whole grain, you know, by way of cereals and processed flours and all this garbage. You know, all of that general mindset needs to die, right? And we need to get back our health, and also need to, as we get more informed, we need to know that, you know what, you know, if my doctor is saying what I no longer believe to be true, I need to just take that as a recommendation, but not a sign of, you know, oh my gosh, I need to take exactly what my doctor is telling me right now, and feel scared and just do it. You know, you still need to be informed, and, you know, then there's a lot of information out there that tells you that, you know, you may not need to take that pill or that capsule, because if you just change your lifestyle, to change the way you eat, you'll find out that you'll be able to accomplish better health without having to pop a pill and go through that whole constant circle and cycle of refilling prescriptions for things that you can just not have to take. You know, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physician, I'm not an expert. I'm just me speaking my mind about what I've learned from folks who are doctors, who have learned that the typical recommendations of all those things that I previously mentioned are not right, you know. Yeah. Again, you know, don't listen to me. Check out the titles on ruelsrunning.com/resources. On the resources page, check out the titles from, like, you know, from Nina Teicholz, Dr. Perlmutter, Dr. William Davis. And there's a whole bunch of titles in there, you know, even folks who have been in the health and fitness industry, like Vinnie Tortorich for several decades, you know, who's seen and helped people many times. So, you know, there's a handful. It's not a vast library, you know. But what else is there? There's Dr. Sinatra has a book in that listing of book titles there. There's a bunch of podcasts that you can listen to that have many more professionals and experts and guests on their shows, you know, to listen to and find out about. You know, Jimmy Moore's podcast, Living a Low Carb, and the Low Carb Conversation type stuff is linked there. Like Vinny's podcast is, you know, Mark Sisson's podcast is there. You know, Dave Asprey's podcast is there. Everybody, you know, everybody agrees, everybody disagrees, but you know, there is overlap with a bunch of stuff. It's just for you to find out what works best for you and get you better off than you were before when following the old guidelines of low fat and pay attention to lowering your cholesterol and eating all of this grainy garbage stuff and processed food type edible products and blah blah blah. Yeah, so, you know, not much of a rant, I don't think. But yeah, it's frustrating that there's this mindset that I know comes from my mom and many like my mom, where it's sort of like, you know, yeah, you know, someone passed away, it happens. Oh, yeah, because they were type 2 diabetic. Yeah, that happens. And there was complications. Yeah, that happens. It's just a fact of life. That's just what we're all gonna have to go through, kind of vibe, which is how it sounds like when I get these reports of people that pass away. And the truth is, it doesn't have to be that way, Mom. It doesn't have to be that way, listener, right? You can take a level of your health back in control. Just, you know, take steps, you know, do the research, find out why I don't have to be too overly concerned about my total cholesterol. Why? Right? and that trickles over to whether or not you should be popping that cholesterol lowering pill, right? My personal belief, and a lot of people and experts that I've heard and listened and read about, total cholesterol is nothing. It means nothing. And statins, women shouldn't be taking statins, and definitely children shouldn't be taking statins. And the usefulness of statins are for male folks with a history of some sort of cardiac event. And why is that? And if I remember correctly, it's because statins have a blood pressure lowering effect. So that's the usefulness there, right? But overall, as a preventative thing, I don't believe in. You don't have to, but don't take my word for it. Check out those resources and dig into it. Because just that whole thing alone, now that we're talking about cholesterol, is a game changer, right? Once you can grasp that, like, oh my gosh, cholesterol, our body makes cholesterol. It's a part of who we are as humans, right? Why do we want to lower it? You know what? And there are a lot of reports that talk about statistics. A lot of the cardiac, heart attack type events, strokes, whatnot, and deaths happen, and the folks that suffer them have a low cholesterol count, right? So it's kind of, why are you striving to die faster by lowering your cholesterol? Is basically the big thing to say. You know what? Do the research, find out for yourself. But once you can grasp that, then you can start trickling into other things like, if that's being recommended to me and it's not the greatest thing for me, what else may be out there that I should be looking into and really not taking? And what are the alternatives? The other is blood sugar, right? Blood sugar reducing, right? You can reduce your blood sugar. You don't need medication to do that. You just need to realize what you're eating is not good for you and how that affects your hormones, and put you in a situation where you feel that you need to take those medications. You can get off of it. You can get your health back. You can get your freedom back, because you know what? When you're having to collect all of those refills, whether it be you as a patient or a relative or a son of somebody who needs prescriptions picked up, you know what? You can get your freedom back, because you don't have to spend your time standing in line at the pharmacy waiting for those silly things to be fulfilled, and going to the doctor visits and getting the prescriptions written out and no. Look into it. I'm not telling for you folks who are on it right now to just drop it. You need to really know what you're doing, right? Find out how to get in control. If you need me to point you verbally to a direction, and getting it hearing on a podcast is enough, contact me, and I'll point you to folks who can help. You can find out. Go to the book titles. This is how I do. I go to the resources page, look at those book titles, right? Get a sense. So, okay, who's responsible for those titles? Okay, find out if they're on social media. Go on Twitter. Go on Facebook. See if they have a podcast. See if they have a contacts page. Reach out. Sure, it sounds a little like of an effort. I might not be that computer savvy to find out. Okay. Find somebody who is. Or if you are, great, do that. Take that little bit of steps, because you know what? Your health is worth it, right? It's worth it. Otherwise, you get those titles. Get them on audiobook form. Get them on hardback at your local bookstore or on Amazon. And you go to my pages somewhere. You can click through the Amazon banner, or you can click on the link on the resources page that might take you to somewhere where you can order it, via affiliate, and get the information that way. Oh my gosh, and it's been years, getting this information, and the message still needs to be put out there. Watch out for what you eat, and it's not what you think you should be eating because of the old food guidelines, Still, there's still a lot of work, it needs to, and teaching that has to be done, and learning and sharing of information. Anyways, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I've just sort of ranted on this path. I don't do that often, so I gotta get off my chest. Moving on. Run update. Not a whole lot of running going on since last week. I think I had one run this week. I think. That's how bad it's been. Bad in the sense of not being able to get my I got my shoes. I have my running shoes on, I have my gear with me. I just can't remember whether I actually done anything. I don't think I did. It's just been so busy at the office. Crunch time to the max. Yeah, gonna have to try next week. Yeah. It's crazy. But related to running, if you guys like podcasts and you don't already subscribe to the Ultra Runner podcast, check it out. I listened to an old episode on the Ultra Runner podcast. I'm scattered across what I'm listening to on these podcasts. Latest stuff, old stuff. Either way, it's all good stuff. And Eric Schranz at the Ultra Runner podcast, from the Ultra Runner podcast, does a fantastic job. He, that podcast, has gotten me to a level of running that I'm at, that I've accomplished, and I still have a whole lot more running to do. But oh my gosh, what was that episode? You guys need to check it out. If I can find it, I hope I can find it. It was episode, there's no episode number, but it was from July 7. It was titled Running the Camino de Santiago with Kevin Moore. Check that out on ultrarunnerpodcast.com, the podcast. If you guys have ever seen that movie The Way with Emilio Estevez and Martin Sheen, it talks about the setting is the Camino de Santiago, and in this podcast episode, Kevin Moore talks about his run of that Camino de Santiago. If you don't know what the Camino de Santiago is, all I can know is it's somewhere in Europe, and it cuts between. It might, and someone's gonna have to correct me. It cuts through. It traverses, trails, a path, a road, or whatever, between France and Spain or something. I don't know. Some sort of awesome pilgrimage type of thing. Vacationers do it. Tourists do it. Folks who are on a pilgrimage just do it. Anybody does it. You can hop on it at any point in the path, I believe, and just kind of get to the end. And along the way, stay at places that allow you to, spend the night and have a breakfast or a dinner, and help you along your way. It's just part of the community there. It's part of the culture. It's awesome to see in the movie The Way, and it's awesome to hear about this ultra runner's experiences running it for himself. So that's awesome. So I haven't been doing a lot of running lately, but I still pay attention to stuff. And I talked about it last episode. Carl Meltzer completed the fastest running of the Appalachian Trail. Faster than Scott Jurick's previous year's record, but it's as Carl has described, to be a completely different record. It's two different records. Listen to Talk Ultra. It's a different podcast. It's another awesome ultra podcast, and Carl's the co-host on that that podcast, and he had like an hour-long kind of talk with about his experiences completing the AT, and he says himself, check out the episode. He says himself it's 2 different records, right? Because he went the opposite direction of Scott Jurek's record the previous year, completing an FKT, fastest known time, over the Appalachian Trail. So it's awesome. It's awesome stuff, That's the run update. I have time to time thought about, I need to get myself into a 50-mile event, but I need to build, and if I find something and I get myself in one, the timing's right, then that'll be the impetus for me to deliberately get myself out and do some decent training. The longest I've ever gone is 42 miles. I've failed at the 50 attempt a couple times, always stopping around that 41, 42 mark. And my time will come. I'll get to 50 eventually. I mean, look at Carl Meltzer. He had several attempts at the AT, the Appalachian Trail, and he finally got it, completed it, and in record time. So, I'm in my own little journey of my own running goals, and right now 50 is that goal that I need to and want to hit. I need to do it right. I need to plan it. I need to train. And when I do, I definitely will be covering it here on the podcast. So, moving right along. Speaking of training and all that good stuff, as my kid in the background does a big old snort, we have a question on SpeakPipe from a new listener, Drew Harden, and Drew is also a member of the Facebook group. When I say the Facebook group, as Lonnie Beecham has referenced the group as the group, it's the Vinnie Tortorich No Sugar No Grains Facebook group. It's a closed group. It's on Facebook, as previously mentioned, and you can search for it, and you can request to be on it if you want to find out more about the community on Facebook and how they go about their own NSNG journey, be inspired, get healthy, lose weight, and just, have fun, and maybe even find something delicious to try yourself. Anyways, here's Drew.
Hey, Rel. This is Drew Harden from the Facebook group. Sorry if you can hear my kids' cartoons in the dishwasher in the background, but I'm playing single dad for the weekend. Anyway, I want you to talk about being an older athlete for someone who was an athlete when they were younger, and picking sports back up and how to avoid injury and all the things that you have to do different in your mid-30s or 40s than you did when you were 17 or 18. I know when I first started picking back up triathlon, I hadn't run in, a decade, and I thought I could just pick back up running where I left off. But, a year full of injuries later, I learned that wasn't the case, and there was different ways to approach it in my mid-30s. But anyway, I enjoy the podcast. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
So, Drew, hopefully I can answer your question properly in this format as I drive, scatterbrained, with a little bit of caffeine in my head. Not my head, in me. But, there's he's right. I can only speak of my experiences. Drew, thanks for the question, and I'm glad you're here, and hope to interact more and more with you on the Facebook group and here on this side of the things on the podcast and on social media. First heard of Drew. Drew was on my radar recently when he called in on Vinnie Tortorich's AM talk show on on KABC, which Vinny Tordrich has Sundays Pacific time, 7 p.m. You can go to kabc.com, I believe, and listen live. And there's a number somewhere that you can call too to actually get your talk to Vinny directly and ask your question on the show. But yeah, that happens. I did it last week. I talked about Anna's book, Anna Vocino's Eat Happy Cookbook, which you all should buy on Amazon. It's where you can go to get wonderful recipes that are NSNG. It's the official NSNG cookbook, if you will, and it's number 1 in a low carb diets category currently on Amazon. Last I checked. So, anyways, Drew had a question, and his question, when I was a kid, when I was young, like a lot of folks who are active today, who are older in their 30s and 40s, like you mentioned, who are noticing that you can't hammer and throw down and beat yourself up and spring back as quick as possible the next day after all of that. And it's stuff you don't think about when you're young. When you're young, you think you're the king of the world when you're in your teens, right? I ran cross country. I played soccer in high school, and I can't. I'm now in my 40s. I can't think of a time when, I'd come back from a hard practice or a hard meet or a game the next day and feel like, oh, I'm pretty sore, I'm pretty beat up. Maybe it would have been like a bruised shin or a smashed toe, right? In soccer, like somebody stepped on your toe with their cleats, like ouch. Or it was practice or it was a game. Somebody's cleats smacked you on the shin. Maybe that stuff you'd notice. But it wasn't like, oh, my back or oh, my joints, right? You're young, you kind of deal with it better. You recover faster. You don't think about things like, oh, I'm gonna rip my Achilles, right? So yeah, when you're older, you definitely need more time in between beating up your body to recover, and before you do it again. I don't know. Maybe your joints and your muscles are less pliable. I don't know. But here's the other thing. The other thing is, as we can agree, diet and nutrition play a role. And when I was back in 2010, 2011-ish time frame, when I trained for it was 2011 when I trained for my first marathon, and it was pre-NSNG, and I was a carb guy, as most folks are. I beat myself up, and I fueled what I know incorrectly, and I subject myself to not just the weight gain, but also the inflammation. And, when you aren't fueling right and you are inflamed, it's going to take a long time to want to go back out there and beat yourself up. It's going to delay it's going to delay your training. It's going to extend your recovery. That's what happens when you get older, right? But it's even worse when you're not properly fueling. Here's the other thing. When you're younger, right? You're not as metabolically damaged yet. I say yet because folks who are still eating the traditional SAD, standard American diet or Western diet, all the kids are slowly deteriorating their health, right? Their body's having to cope with all of that sugar that they're eating. But as we know, there is sort of a lifespan for things like our pancreas and other other vital organs. And right now, when you're young, your body's covering all of that junk that you're eating, And then we wonder as we get old, oh, why am I putting on weight now? I used to be able to eat this way. Maybe I just need to exercise more. Then you're stuck in this weird circle of eating garbage, not recovering well, and then putting on weight because your body can no longer handle it. And then now you're just saying, well, not only am I inflamed and heavier and malnourished in essence, let's just beat myself up more because that's what's going to get me healthy. No. See how crazy that is? Oh my God. Just hearing myself say that makes me mad. So, as we're older, as I'm older, I feel that I can do a lot more than folks who are my age, who are still on the standard American diet, right? Changing my nutrition, what it means for me is I've not only gained my health back and lost a lot of weight, but I feel younger. I feel that everybody needs to be younger than they actually are. I think humans need to be knocking out large distances and doing incredible things in their as they age. I'm not going to narrow down any particular age group, just as they age, right? The longer you are on this world, the more better you should be able to do things physically, I think, because you're doing it more. But because of our culture, very sedentary and eating the wrong stuff, we're aging faster than we should. Sad. So, as we're older, we do want to spend more time. We need to calculate more recovery time. We can't just hammer it out. Listen to your body. Know that it's a part of aging. But know, too, that you could help things out by just staying no sugar, no grains, man. Eating your healthy fats, right? That's basically it, Except that we're older and we can't, beat ourselves up as we are as when we were kids and expect to be able to gun it. But you may find out as you are on your NSNG journey that you actually end up being more awesome than you were as a kid, as a teen. So those are like awesome stories. If that happens to you, it's great to hear. I mean, look at I don't know. You'll if you search around the internet, you'll find out how there are folks who are much older than we are, Drew. Sounds like you're in your late 30s or maybe even your 40s. We're around the same age. Gosh, man, there's guys out there 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s that are doing crazy stuff, right? Anyways, yeah, I think that's all I got to say about that. Again, I can only speak of my experiences, but yeah, I have friends from high school that I get to see on social media, and I feel sad because let's be honest, like I said, folks are aging faster than they need to be at their age, and people are getting sick. I'm not any better than anybody else. I just got lucky. I got lucky because I was in that same conundrum of I'm going to beat myself up trying to get this marathon accomplished, not taking into consideration my diet end of things and recovery. I got caught up in it and, got unhealthier. But I got lucky because I chose to question why it was that way, found myself getting to where I am now via podcasts and books and stuff, so I just got lucky. And because of that luck, I want to do what I can on this podcast to just share stories and experiences that I have, and also get folks on the show to talk about their own journey and their experiences to sort of, share and hopefully get somebody to pay attention and get lucky themselves, if you will. I want to contribute to that whole flow that got me lucky, and I want to see folks, my friends that I went to high school with, I want to see them, experience the same stuff, right? Changes, health. Yeah. Anyways, sorry about that. I don't know, got kind of sad there, didn't it, Drew? Anyways, thanks, Drew, for your question. Hey, folks, you guys can do what Drew did. You can do what Lonnie did and Trey did, and you can get on the podcast. You can ask a question. You can just sort of say what's up. You can, get your voice heard. Drew went to the website, rulesrunning.com. He clicked on the Speak Pipe widget that's there, and he recorded the message that I played. And you could do that too. Or, if you're not a Speak Pipe fan, you could, you can call the hotline. Not that hot. 650-MUGRUEL, if that even makes sense. You can call that number. Leave a message. Yeah. 650-MUG-RUEL. You can call. That's a Google Voice inbox. And get yourself heard, get your question asked, and I can talk about and around and through, and we can have fun.
Hey, Ruel, just let you know I got done listening to the show, and I'm driving to Indianapolis. It's in Indiana. It's in the middle of America. You probably couldn't identify it on the map, but look it up. It's not a bad little city. Anyway, you have a good day. Bye.
So with that, I am where I need to be, folks. Again, check out the website. I did a little. It's kind of going a bit of a facelift. I got tired of the way it was looking, so I'm experimenting with some new themes and stuff for the website at rulesrunning.com. So yeah, go to the website, see what's there again. And, if there's anything that stands out, that you think is cool, worth sharing, please do so. Share it out on social and friends and share. Subscribe to the email list, the newsletter. You can do that there as well. And, be fun. There is a discuss comment widget on the website. So if there's anything there that you want to sort of comment on and interact on, I highly encourage you to do so. It'll be great to interact and hear from you. Exciting times. I talked about it before. I'm working on another website at abadam.com. It's a website for a service that I'm providing. So, I already provide the service, but I just needed to place a web presence to sort of be there. So that's what abadam.com is. It's a consulting service for me to help out with folks who need, get started out, or maybe need a little maintenance or a little help, or find out more about things related to, websites and maybe even podcasting, which I've titled as new media. So yeah, if I can help, let me know, and we'll go from there. So yeah, I'm excited about that. More to come. So check out also abadam.com, as mentioned. Check them out, and if you can, sign up on the email list for updates, so that you will get that information, the latest and greatest regarding the website launch first. Awesome. So with that, and before I say goodbye, I just want to give a thanks. I want to give a thanks to the NSNG group, the family, the godfather of fitness himself, Vinny Tortorich. I want to thank him. I want to thank Anna Vocino, the lovely Anna Vocino, the lovely and talented Anna Vocino, both who I've had on the podcast So check those episodes out. Buy Anna's book, Eat Happy. It's on Amazon. Links are on the website. You can find it. Eat Happy by Anna Vicino. It's a great book. I have a digital copy, and I will be buying a hard copy. I just need a physical copy, Anna. I love feeling the cookbooks. Yeah, and maybe I can get it signed. Yeah. And if you're new to the NSNG thing, Vinny Todrich is his name, and his book is Fitness Confidential. And as previously mentioned, check him out on KABC AM radio. Go to the website kabc.com. Sundays Pacific Time, 7 p.m. You can call in the program and ask Vinny questions. Yeah. Shout out to Andy Schreiber, CEO of PureVitaminClub.com. He is an awesome guy. He's a Facebook friend. He's a member on the group. We interact time to time on social. I don't know. I haven't met these folks personally, but this day and age, the physical interaction is wonderful, but it isn't a limitation. I consider these guys friends. Yeah. Shout out to the Beecham brothers, Lonnie and Trey. Thanks for, your support. And everybody else who is listening, thank you so much. I'd love to hear from you. So hit me up on social, on the website, everywhere. And with that, I'm going to call it a day, or I'm going to call it a podcast. Remember, hug your family, hug your friends, or at least shake their hand, or a knuckle bump or something, eat something delicious. And go run something. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.